Hi, I'm Bob Cooper, the president of Elite. And first of all, I would like to say I know you guys and gals are all around the world, so thanks so much for joining us. I know that your time is really valuable, so the fact that you would give it up and spend it with us today is an honor, to say the least. So thanks again. I would also like to thank our dear friends at Vaught. It's really a remarkable company, as many of you know, and we just so enjoy working with them. They're a principle-centered company. They have extraordinary products and extraordinary people. So I would like to thank the good people at Vaught for all that they do for the industry and for helping us get the word out about this webinar and helping those of you that are in the audience join us today. I'd also like to make an announcement, if I could, that we actually have a special guest that you can see up on the screen today, and I certainly don't want to embarrass him, but it's Kevin Vaught. Kevin has been working with us for 7 years. For those of you that don't know him or don't know of him yet, I could tell you this. He had a group of stores in Indiana, did extraordinarily well with them, retired early, and went out and started hitting golf balls around the country and had a blast doing that, realized that he absolutely loved this industry, wanted to come back to the industry, wanted to find a way to help more people in the industry, and started working with us 7 years ago. And since then, it's been an absolute blessing for all of us. I could tell you that he started with us as a business development coach, did an outstanding job, extraordinary job with all of his clients. And today he not only still has clients, but he works with all of our other coaches. He helps us with webinars like this. He helps us with seminars, does lots and lots and lots of things to help us. So for me, it's an honor that he was willing to join us today and spend some time with us and help me with these slides today and some of the content. So Kev, good afternoon for you. I know that you're on the East Coast, so thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Bob. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, great to see you. Great to see you, as always. This will be a lot of fun, Kevin. For those of you that are new to us, who we are, the best way of describing who we are is, let's start with principles. This, as you see on the screen, this is our DNA. This is what's woven through all of us. We're a company that lives by a principle of never putting money ahead of people. Number two, the second thing that I wanted to mention to you is, what do we do? Well, we help shop owners like all of you build more profitable, successful businesses and certainly reach your goals, your personal goals, as well as your career and business goals, while having a really positive impact on your employees, your customers, and their communities. We feel that your role as business owners goes well beyond the profitability and success of your company. It really needs to touch every life that you possibly can. Our mission statement right here, our mission is to use our team of top experts in America to help auto professionals reach their goals, live happier lives, elevate the industry that we love so much. And it'll never, ever, ever, ever will we compromise our ethics or the trust that's placed in us. Took us close to a year, actually, to write our mission statement because we wanted to make sure that it really spoke to who we are. So this is who we are, guys and gals. You'll find it literally everywhere, on our website, on all of our workbooks. Actually, it's on the back of our business cards as well. So what are we looking to do today? The objective? Well, we want to help you learn just how easy it is to develop and deliver employee meetings that are going to benefit you, but not only you, your employees, and your company as well. How do you best benefit? Please do everything you can do to not be interrupted. And I know it's hard to do that. I realize it's tough, especially if you're running your shop today. Take good notes. Everything that you're going to hear today, if you can write it down, it's going to be in your best interest. Choose at least one tip that you hear today, something out of this. For all of you that are doing employee meetings, find at least one item that you say, you know what, I'm going to put that into the meetings that I hold. And we're going to have a question and answer session at the end of the course. So during the course, throughout the entire course, any questions that you have about employee meetings or the content that we're covering today, all that I'm going to ask that you do is this. Go to the right-hand side of your screen, click on the little question box, and write your question. Type your question into that, hit send, hit enter, and that question will come to us. And then at the end, what we're going to do is this. We're going to spend some time answering any of the questions that we have time to answer. I also know a lot of you are new to us, and you're not familiar with our organization. So what I'll do right before the questions and answers, I'll take just a couple minutes to give you a little bit of an overview, a 100,000-foot overview of who we are and what we do. So how do you best benefit? One other thing. Take a look at your control panel. For those of you that are new to GoToWebinar, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a little arrow and a little orange arrow. If you click on that, it's going to put that dashboard and it's going to hide it for you all the way to the right. That way you're going to be able to see the entire screen. So let's do this. Kev, I'm ready to get started if you are. You ready, Kev?
Ready to go, Bob.
Okay, cool. So let's do this. All right. The benefits of employee meetings. Kevin, take a look at this first line right here. It says create clarity inspections. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that's the most important thing in any employee management situation is to make sure that everyone has clear expectations. It all starts with clear expectations. By having weekly meetings, you can stay on top of this, and there's no question about what our expectations are.
Perfect. And here you go, Kev. This is yours. You could do this.
This is a big one. Creates a team spirit. Again, the more that we can keep everyone together and communicating, the more that we're going to be pulling and moving toward the same direction. That's the whole purpose of the team spirit, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And it allows everyone the opportunity to learn from one another. And this is huge, too. None of us have all of the answers, as we know, and there's so much to be said about synergy. So this is one of the great benefits of employee meetings.
Allows everyone to know that their opinion matters. I think all the studies have shown that money is a great motivator, or not the best motivator. It is a motivator, not the best motivator. But people want to be involved. They want to feel like their opinion counts, that it matters. And weekly meetings allow you to do that.
Yeah, well said, well said. And certainly, ultimately, it's going to improve morale and it's going to drive up the productivity of your company. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that all of these are remarkable benefits of having employee meetings. And then here we go. Here's another one, Kev.
Better ensures compliance at every level. I have clients all the time tell me I can't get my people to follow this procedure. They don't follow this process. When you have weekly meetings or regular meetings, that stuff doesn't fall through the cracks. Much better compliance.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Let's talk about some of the more common mistakes. Number one, first and foremost, and we see this all across America, and North America, I should say, not holding regularly scheduled meetings. Huge mistake that shop owners make. Here's another one, Kev.
Not being well prepared. I think that's the problem with meetings. First of all, they have a negative connotation because too many times the person who's presenting the meeting or leading the meeting, they're not very well prepared. They're just in there winging it. You've got to be prepared.
Got to hold regularly scheduled meetings. You have to be prepared, and you have to control the meeting, guys and gals. You have to control the meeting every single time. Kev, here's another one.
Not ensuring that there's post-meeting action items. Not only do you need to have these meetings, but you need to make sure you follow through on what was discussed at these meetings, whether it's your input and something you promised, or whether it's input from one of your employees. You've got to follow through. Got to follow through on the action items.
Yeah, there you go. Guys and gals, I hope that you agree. If you have a meeting and if there's no post-meeting action items, and the question is, why did you have a meeting? Why did you get together if there was no outcome from the time that you spent together? And not holding them accountable for their follow-through. You need to make sure that the guys and gals that agree to do the things that they need to do are really going to do what they need to do and follow through. And Kev, what about this?
This is a biggie. Not feeding the emotional bank account. As a leader of the company, you're going to be taking withdrawals from that bank account quite often, just because it's part of your job is to make sure that people are on the right track, doing the right thing. We got to make sure that we're feeding that, we're making deposits into that emotional bank account. We got for every time we tell them they've done something wrong, we got to give them 10 attaboys. You've got to feed that emotional bank account so we can make those deposits when we need to.
So can't make a withdrawal unless we have money in the bank. We can't make a withdrawal of the emotional bank account. We can't reprimand somebody. We can't criticize their behavior unless we've given them positive reinforcement in the past.
That's right.
Safe to say?
That's right.
Kev, do you have any stories that you might be able to share with us about when it comes to mistakes?
I do have, Bob, and it goes back to what you were talking about, the irregular schedule. I had a client that one time he was holding weekly meetings. Well, they were going so well. He thought, we're doing so well. Let's just go we'll go to bi-weekly meetings. Then it slid off to monthly meetings. Next thing you know, they kind of quit having meetings. He calls me one day and says, I just can't understand. My people are there. The morale's down in this place. Everything seems like it's falling in, going wrong. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. When was the last time you had a meeting? Oh, well, my guys don't like coming to meetings, so we kind of let them slide. Well, we got him back on track. Got him back on track of doing meetings. Everything obviously came back up, and I was able to say, "I told you so," which I don't like doing that so much. But I did tell him so, that you got to have these meetings consistently, no matter what. You got to pick a day, have the meeting. If there's only 2 people show up, only 2 people show up. Have the meeting consistently.
Yeah, great story, Kev. Great story, and so true for sure. So what's the goal of the employee meeting? To have everyone leaving feel better about themselves, the goals that you have in place, the mission of the company, while at the same time, like Kevin said earlier, being more compliant and productive. This is the goal of every one of the meetings that you have. So let's talk about some of the things you need to do to get ready for a meeting, and then we'll get into the meeting themselves. Number one, conclude as to the time and the dates that you're going to have your meetings at. Now, one of the things that I've learned over the years, and Kevin, I'm certainly interested in hearing your opinion, is there is no right time to have a meeting, and there is no right date. Every business is going to be uniquely different. Some guys do it during lunch hour. Some guys do it early in the morning before they open. Some guys do it at the close of the day. There is no right time of the day. But you have to find a time that's going to work best for you. The length of the meeting, there's no immediate answer to that either. 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes is a good place to start with your first meetings, and then adjust accordingly from there. So in all cases, conclude the time and dates of the meeting. And of course, these have to be reoccurring meetings where you're going to have them every week. Every week you're going to get together, you're going to spend time with your guys and gals. And then, of course, you got to advise all of your guys and gals, once you have that concluded, is the time, date, and a location. Kev, what about this, the rules?
Absolutely. You've got to there's got to be some ground rules with every meeting. Number one is they need to come prepared. I've tried to get my clients to ask their employees to come with just share one thing about the company that we can improve on. One thing. Hey, if we did move the balancer over here, or we'd be more productive, or whatever the case may be. Just try to share one thing. But and to come, I always like to have them come with solutions, not just problems. I want the meetings to be solution based and to be positive, not always be critical and beating up on them. We got a problem? Cool, let's fix it. What's our plan? How can we move forward? It doesn't do any good to keep beating people up about what happened. We just got to move forward. We got to fix it and move forward. So if everyone comes prepared, these meetings don't take very long, Bob. The more frequently you have them, if everyone's prepared, you can get a lot done in 15, 20 minutes, a lot done. But if they're not prepared, that's when they drag on. That's when they drag on. When the leader's not prepared and the participants aren't prepared, then they start going sideways. The meeting starts getting off track, and then that's when problems happen, and that's when meetings go south, in my opinion.
Yeah, great comments, Kevin. You know, for any of you that wonder how you're going to get your guys and gals to speak up, what you need to do is you at least have one employee in your shop somewhere that you know really well that is somewhat of a communicator. He's outspoken or she's outspoken. They share their thoughts. Meet with them ahead of the meeting. Tell them what your objective is. Ask them to come prepared, and let everyone else then sit there if they would like and not say anything if they need to, and hear the dialogue between you and that one employee. Because when that one employee shares that thought or recommendation, that's a great time for you to compliment them and thank them for their input. And then everybody else could say, oh man, that's pretty neat. That worked pretty well. There are going to be no interruptions, guys and gals. You've got to let all of your people know when they're talking, there are absolutely no interruptions. And Kev, what about this? I know this is huge too.
This is the most important, in my opinion. No negative comments about others are acceptable in any form or fashion. If someone has a problem with someone, that needs to be done in private. That's not something that we discuss in these meetings. Again, the negative connotation with these meetings is that, they're going to be nothing but complaining sessions. And that's why we want to get away from that. I've had clients before that changed the name, Bob, to weekly updates instead of weekly meetings, just to get rid of that negative connotation about meetings. Hey, we got a weekly update on Wednesdays at 2:00. It just changes the tone a little bit.
There you go. Man, that's a good one, Kevin. Thanks so much. That's really, that's a great one, I should say. So be prepared. And what else do you need to do to prepare for your meeting? Be prepared to review the goals of the company. If you don't address the goals of your company at every meeting, with all due respect, you did not have a meeting. I mean, the whole objective is to reach your goals with your business, right? So make sure that you be prepared with the goals of the company, the long-term, mid-term, short-term goals of the company, the relative progress that's been made, and any deficiencies, meaning if you're not hitting the mark, be prepared to discuss that too. And Kev, how about this from the last meeting?
Make sure you follow up from the last meeting. If you don't follow up on what you talked about in the last meeting, then they're going to think it wasn't important. You may have already got it taken care of. You may have already got that situation handled. But if it's not discussed and everyone's updated, then they're just going to think, oh, it just went by the wayside. So make sure that you go through the notes from last meeting. Any assignments that were or tasks that were assigned, make sure you follow up with those. That's critical in my opinion.
Yeah, your mission statement, guys and gals, and your guiding principles. Be prepared to discuss your mission statement. I would recommend at the opening of your meeting, review your mission statement. I would recommend in different meetings, maybe once a month, you review one of your guiding principles and have a conversation about it. This is huge as well when you're going into a meeting. And here's another one, Kev, that I know is critically important.
I love this. Any online reviews and customer feedback, this is a great time to discuss it. Obviously, we really want to promote the positive reviews, the 5 stars, but sometimes we have to understand the 1 stars too, and understand what went wrong and what our solution is. But what a great time to reinforce the positive message of the positive reviews and the customer feedback. If a customer happens to tell you that Bill did a great job over here, make sure that you recognize Bill and tell him so in the meeting, because customer feedback and online reviews, as we all know, they're part of our world today.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much. And of course, any warranty claims that came back during the past week, last meeting, you need to discuss those as well. The cause, the solution, what you're going to do to prevent it from happening in the future. And here's another one for you, Kev.
Safety and compliance, big. Some states is bigger than others, but I would make sure that at least I would try to have something that has to do with safety related or safety compliance at each of your meetings. At least have it discussed. Hey, look, we got safety concerns here. We got a rack that needs a lock fixed, or whatever the case may be. But that's got to be kind of at the forefront of every meeting, is something about safety and the compliance.
Yeah, so true. Don't forget, guys and gals, a lot of your insurance policies, a lot of the states that you're in may very well mandate that you, at least on a specific period of time, you have a safety meeting of some sort. So this is huge too. And of course, individual recognition. When you get ready for your meeting, ask yourself, what are you going to do to be able to recognize all the guys and gals that work with you? This is huge. Huge. Let's continue on when it comes to preparing for the meetings. Kev, here's another one.
Discuss the meeting agenda with management or key employees as you're preparing for the meetings. Make sure that you're covering all the most important topics for that particular week.
Yeah, so they could support you guys and gals. This is what you need to do. Get everybody on the same page. Consider performing reviews as well as book reviews. And we'll chat about book reviews in just a little bit, but this is what I mentioned earlier. In getting ready for your meeting, ask yourself, is this going to be a time that you're going to review your guiding principles as well as a book review? And Kev, here's another one. It says description of a successful meeting. Could you help us with that?
Yeah, description. A successful meeting concludes with a plan for improvement. A refocusing of the goals, everyone feeling good about themselves, their roles with the company and the goals. Again, you want these meetings ending on a high note. You want everyone excited about getting back to work and fulfilling our mission. If everyone knows that there's a mission, they will be behind you all the way. If they think you're wavering as a leader, you're wavering all over the place, that's tough to get people behind you. But if everyone's going for the same mission, the same goal, it's amazing that you can move mountains. And that's done by weekly meetings, reinforcing it through weekly meetings, in my opinion.
Boy, so true, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. So let's do this, guys and gals. We're going to change gears again. Now let's talk about the agenda. This is how we would recommend that you lay out your agenda. First of all, whenever it comes to employee management, whenever you have to give constructive feedback, whenever you have to criticize the behavior of an employee, there's an argument that's made, and it's a legitimate argument. I agree with it 100%. You always need to start off with some kind of positive reinforcement of the employee. Then you talk about the failure in their behavior. Then you end with positive reinforcement. It's called the sandwich method of managing people. So it's no different with a meeting. Guys don't want to come into a meeting thinking, oh my gosh, I'm just going to be read the riot act or everything that we're failing at. So you should always start off your meeting with some kind of recent successes, regardless as to what they are. Take that as an opportunity to take a deep breath and thank your guys and gals for things that have accomplished since the last meeting. So this is number one on the agenda. Number two, Kev.
Review the company goals and the relative progress. Again, as Bob said, that's what we're here for. We're here to reach our goals. So every week, if you're reviewing the goals, where are we at? What do we need to reach them? Where we got left? So it's a great time to keep that in the forefront of everyone's mind too, where our goals are, where we at as far as reaching them.
Yeah, it's interesting, Kevin, and I've learned over the years in talking to, like you, hundreds of shop owners, it's amazing how many advisors, as an example, or managers, they'll say, well, do you guys have goals that you're working towards? And I'll say, yeah, we have monthly sales goals. And do you remember what it was? Or do you know what it is? And well, it maybe it's this, or they don't know. Or when was the last time you reached that goal? Well, I'm not sure when the last time we reached it. And you go, whoa, man, if it's not important to leadership, then it's not going to be important to the guys and gals that work with you. So guys and gals, you got to do this at every meeting. You got to review the goals and relative progress, review customer follow-up results and reviews and all the warranty claims. This is something that you absolutely have to do. And then, Kevin, this is one that you somewhat alluded to earlier.
Yeah, elicit recommendations for improvement. Ask how it's relative to the goals and the customer experience, and thank the employee for the recommendations. Again, the behavior he gets, the behavior we reward. So if we want input, then we've got to make sure that we're following through with the input that we're getting, and we truly appreciate of their input. That's the key. We want more of it, because no one knows this business any better than the frontline people. Whatever business you're in, the frontline people are in the trenches every day. They know it as well as anybody. We need their help. So this is a great time to get recommendations. As I said, I've had clients that the employees have said just to move a balance for 2 feet, and it made a difference in reducing 5 steps. But those little things make a difference. Make sure you follow through with those, especially if an employee has recommended them to you, especially.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. I couldn't agree with you more. And guys and gals, don't forget, whenever somebody gives you a recommendation, always ask them, how is that going to lead to a better customer experience? And then you could tie that to the goals, because they have to understand the relationship between behavior, what they're doing, and the end result, which is the customer experience, which leads to the goals of the company. So in all cases, ask them how those thoughts are connected, because then they're going to get that aha moment. They're going to go, now I know why this needs to be done. Now I see how the customer and the company is going to benefit from this recommendation. This gives you a wonderful opportunity, like Kevin said, to get somebody to give a recommendation and for you to praise them in front of all their peers, to thank them for the recommendation. And this is huge, guys and gals. This is huge. Kev, here's another one for you.
Shop safety and compliance matters. Again, when you're building an agenda, we talked about having something about safety and compliance matters. That's one of your items in your agenda. Shop safety and compliance matters.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. Training needs. What are the training needs that your company has? What do you need in technical training, management, sales training? What kind of training is needed, and what are the opportunities that are available to you for training? Distant learning, training much like this, webinars like this, leader-led courses that are available, different kind of materials, downloadables. What kind of training is needed for your company? How is it tied to the goals of the company and the customer experience? And what are the opportunities that are there? This is something that absolutely has to be on the agenda. This shows that you care about your people as well. And this is one of the reasons this is so huge.
This is big. This is big. Delegate action items with deadlines. Not only just delegate the action items, make sure you have the deadlines on there. It's like we talked about with goals. A goal without a deadline is just a dream. Well, an action item without a deadline can be done anytime. Make sure that you have a deadline on all the action items. Delegate them to people that are best suited for whatever task you've got. But make sure you have a deadline. I can't stress that enough. If you don't have a deadline, it won't get done in a timely fashion. I can guarantee that.
Yeah, so true, Kevin. And don't forget, when you do this, guys and gals, when you delegate that gives you the chance to follow up. That gives you the chance to reward them. Right. That's so cool. Here's another one, guys and gals, that is really, really super big. And it says, review the mission statement and guiding principles. And I know that we talked about that a little bit earlier, but look, in every company, this is my belief, and I can only hope that you agree with me. In every company, there are three things that you need to always bear in mind. Number one, you need to have clearly defined goals. And those goals in the ideal world, my ideal world, those are really, really great goals. They're not good goals. They're breathtaking goals. They're goals that are going to get you out of bed early and get you excited about what you're doing. So you have to have goals. Well, that's the end result. That's where you're going. What about the journey? Well, the journey is the mission statement. The journey is, what are you going to be doing? How are you going to be able to be, what are you going to be behaving like on your journey toward those goals? So the mission statement is a story about behavior. But then there's a third piece that is not really talked about too much, and that's called the culture. The culture is what bonds you all together as a family. So by reviewing your mission statement, what that's going to do is that's going to help your guys and gals better understand the journey that you're on toward the goals. And by reviewing the guiding principles, that's going to help reinforce the culture of your company, what bonds you all together. Guys and gals, if you haven't done this, this is huge. This is one takeaway. If you do nothing else with your meetings but do this, you're going to be blown away when you see the results that you're going to be able to get from your meetings and the guys and gals that work with you. Kev, look at this one here.
Yeah, facilitate book reports. Bob does this, and I have a couple of clients that have picked up on this and doing the same thing. They'll pick a book, and we'll read one chapter. Let's get this chapter done. We'll discuss it next week. So facilitate, and again, it could be, you may not be able to do books. Some people don't like reading books, but maybe you might take a big long article of some fashion and facilitate a report on that. You'd be amazed, and I think Bob will attest to this, you'll be amazed at the different interpretations of reading the same paragraph. Everyone has a different takeaway from that. Right, Bob?
Yeah, I can't even begin to tell you how important this is to your success as well. Whenever I find a book that I think is a really great book, not a good book, but a great book, something that could benefit everyone in the elite family, something that all the guys and gals that work with me could really benefit from personally as well as their career with me, what I'll do is I'll buy a copy for them. And like Kevin said, I'll ask them to, hey, look, between now and our next meeting, I want you to read the first 2 chapters or whatever. And then what we do is we all get together, we have a meeting, and then we review what we took out of those first 2 chapters. Each person has the opportunity to speak to that. And it's always amazing how everybody seems to get something different out of the same material. And it just the way this brings us together is really extraordinary. And we've been through many books now here at Elite doing this. The guys and gals love it because it not only bonds us together, but it helps them become better people. It helps them feel better about themselves. In case if you're curious, some of the books that you might want to at least consider is one of the ones that I would recommend first and foremost, an easy read, something that could help your children when they're old enough to really understand it, is Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. This will help all of your guys and gals with the customer experience. Another really great book that you might want to consider reading and then passing it on to your employees and doing the same thing is John Maxwell's books. And Kevin, I know that you've read a number of his books. Safe to say.
Love John Maxwell. He's got a 101 series that I recommend to all my clients. The reason I do that is because they're just very thin, maybe 100-page books, I believe, but they're Attitude 101, Teamwork 101, Leadership 101. It's a whole series, John Maxwell 101 books. And the reason, like I said, the reason I recommend those is because they're very short reads. And even people that don't like reading can get through this 100-page book. So I love John Maxwell. Big fan of John Maxwell for sure.
Yeah, boy, great message, Kevin. One of our clients, for what it's worth, one of our clients in the Pacific Northwest has 2 stores and does staggering numbers with his business. And we were having a conversation at one time, and I recommended to him what we do here at Elite with these book reviews. He decided he was going to do it. He went out and bought a copy of Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence. And he gave it to all of the employees with the same plan. Well, as you can imagine, most of the employees pretty much laughed at it and said, this is silly, this is stupid. How to win friends, I already have friends. I don't need to know how to influence people. What does this have to do with me? I'm a technician. But you know what the outcome was? Everybody that was in his company their heads just completely spun around on that. By the time he went through that exercise, reading the book with them and all their takeaways, they were different people. So guys and gals, there's a lot of wonderful books out there. Kevin named off a couple really great ones from the Maxwell series. A lot of really great books out there. Don't hesitate on this. This is one that's just it's gonna change your world. It really will change your world. So please don't hesitate. And Kev, how about this when you're closing out a meeting?
In my opinion, this is the most important part of the whole meeting. It's just like the delivery process of delivering a customer's car to them. That's the last touch point for that particular instance, and that would be the inspiration. You got to lead with some inspiration, some excitement, enthusiasm. That's your job as a leader. Not everyone's a natural born cheerleader, so to speak, but this is the time that you want to be a cheerleader, if at all possible. You end your meeting with a great inspirational message of some sort, or encouragement of some sort, but always leave it on a high, where everybody's excited to get out and get after it.
Yeah, so true, Kevin. So true, so true. So guys and girls, this is a meeting agenda. And let's say you go through the meeting. Now it's the end of the meeting. Everybody goes back to work. So where do we go from here? Let's talk about post-meeting action items. The very first thing you need to do is record all of your meeting minutes. What was discussed, what was agreed to, who's going to do what, when is it going to be done, how are you going to follow through, how are you going to make sure that things were done as needed to be done, how are you going to compliment those people for doing what they do, how are you going to reward them. These are things that you need to record. Number two, your safety meeting records. You absolutely have to update them. So again, I am not here to concern you or bring alarm to you, but different states have different laws. Different insurance companies have different requirements. So make sure that you have those safety meetings. It's also going to help you on your insurance rates as well. If they know that you're holding regularly scheduled safety meetings, this is going to be a huge, huge win for you. So as soon as that meeting's over, sit down, take a few minutes and do this. And Kev, what about this?
Again, as I said a little bit earlier, make sure that you follow up on any assignments or tasks that you assign to someone. If you don't follow up with it in the post meeting, then I promise you that it just flows by the wayside. They don't think it's important. As Bob said earlier, if it's important to you, it'll be important to them. So it's got to be important to you. And this is one way of making it important to everyone.
Yeah, and then number three, of course, you got to recognize the team members accordingly. Individual, you have to do this. You have to take them aside and you have to recognize them and thank them for their input. Thank them for what they're doing. Kev, do you have any other stories that you might be able to share with us from in regards to meetings?
I was going to say, Bob, I want to hop in a couple of things that I would like to share. Number one, we have a client that I have a client, as a matter of fact. He holds what's called a daily huddle. So in Louisville, he still has a weekly meeting, I think, or maybe it's bi-weekly meetings for the big important stuff. But every single morning they go out and have a little 5-minute huddle, maybe 10-minute huddle, discussing what's going on for the day, what their technician loads are like for the day, the schedule. If a technician's light, guess what? And they discuss it in the huddle. The advisors get on the phone and start making sure this technician gets the hours he's needing. So he said it's been one of the best things he's ever done. He calls it a daily huddle. We had the benefit of listening to a Ritz Carlton presentation a few weeks ago. They talk about having a daily lineup. One thing that they specifically do, Bob alluded to a little earlier, is they always go through one of their guiding principles. They call the gold standard. But in every single meeting, they've got 24 gold standards or 24 guiding principles. They always cover one every single day. So that means that every month, every single one of their guiding principles have been reinforced. I just think that's awesome. And then another thing I'd like to share, Bob, this came from a client that he was having a little trouble getting his team together. And what I mean by that is the ATECs were maybe abusing the general service. And what I mean by abusing them, they're our go-to guy. The general service does everything. So the general service didn't feel like they were part of the team. This is great. He made an example. He comes in with a deck of cards. And he takes a deck of cards, there's 52 cards in this deck, and he pulls out one out of the center of the deck and says, "What's this deck worth now?" And of course, everyone's sitting there saying, "Well, the deck's useless, right? One card, the deck's useless." So you take one person out of this team, and what have we done? Then he takes a step further and he tries to break the deck of cards. Impossible to tear them, right? Pull one card out, tear them. It's very simple. the point he's trying to make, which I thought was a very poignant point, was that together it's unbreakable, it's unterrible. Together we can do anything. Take one piece of that pie or one piece of that out of the mix, all of a sudden it's not as effective. So I just thought that was a great visual for building teamwork and getting everyone to understand that every person in the job is important.
Well, what a great story, Kevin. What a great story. What a great story. You know, I certainly learn from you every single time I hear you. So thanks so much. So guys and gals, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to give you a couple next step action items. I'm going to take a couple minutes to give you a little bit of an overview of who we are and what we do, how we help shop owners like you. And then what we'll do is we'll spend some time on Q&A. Kev, you got a few minutes for Q&A?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, so number one, remain online for the brief introduction, as I just mentioned. Subscribe to Elite's complimentary tips for shop owners, and you'll get an email from us. All that you need to do is click on the little link, and that's going to allow you to see a recording of this video or a recording of this webinar, and it'll allow you to subscribe to our complimentary tips if you're not already receiving those. Mark your calendar for our next web course. It's going to be Diagnostic Inspections by Vaught on Technology, our dear friends at Vaught. That's going to be March 10. There's going to be an announcement of that in an email as well, but that's going to be on March 10 at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So mark your calendars for that as well. So how we help shop owners. For those of you that are new to us, we help owners, we help managers, we help advisors, have all kind of resources. First of all, this company is now 30 years old. We've helped thousands of shop owners throughout America solve just about every imaginable problem that you can imagine that these guys and gals can have. And we provide one-on-one trainings provided by America's top shop owners. If you go to our website and if you look at the guys and gals that are on our team, you're going to find that they all have owned or currently own and operate some of the top world-class auto repair businesses in North America. So these guys and gals aren't just business development coaches. These are guys and gals like Kevin, actually, not to embarrass you, Kevin, but they're like Kevin. They're guys that have been there, done that, walked down that road. This is who these guys and gals are. We offer industry-leading service advisor training. Our training really is second to none. It's ethic-based. It's all principles-based. One of the things that we tell everybody that comes to any of our sales courses is if you brought in your family members or any of your customers, we would not change one word. And you know what? All the students absolutely love that about our sales training. And that's why we have so many guys and gals come not only from America, but they literally come from around the world to participate in our sales training. We offer pro service. It's a peer group on steroids. It's 90 of the nation's top shop owners. These are guys and gals that run rock and roll businesses. If you'd like to learn more about pro service, if you'd like to learn more about Top Shop 360, which is where you would be working with one of the top shop owners in America, all that you need to do is visit our website. We offer synergy groups and we offer consultative services. So the point that I'm trying to make is we offer a vast array of different ways of helping you with your business. Online courses just like this, and classroom AMI accredited business management courses and marketing courses as well. Actually, the next one that we have coming up, Fly with the Eagles. It's going to be held here in San Diego the 18th of this month through the 21st. And as an FYI, that course is taught by another industry icon, Joe Marconi. He was a keynote speaker at Ratchet Wrench Conference 2 years ago. A dear friend of mine for 1,000 years. He's one of our top coaches. He's just an absolute blessing to be able to work with. Owns two amazing shops in New York. So he's the guy that does the instruction of the Fly with the Eagles course coming up. If you're not able to make it on the 18th, the next course is coming up about 4 months later. You can find it on our website as well. And most importantly, this is what we deliver to the industry. We deliver a commitment of never putting money ahead of people. And I really do believe that our brand speaks for who we are. It really does. If you take a look at our Facebook reviews, if you take a look at our Google reviews, I think you're going to be surprised. And I think you're going to be really surprised when you see the kind of reviews that we have from guys and gals that have taken advantage and currently take advantage of our services. So Kev, I've been the chatty guy. I think it's the ideal time for us to get into some Q&A. So Diana, now would be a great time if you're available, if you could provide me with any of the questions that came in. Oh my gosh, Kevin, I'm getting a little nervous. This gal's got a long list, it looks like. Yeah. Oh,
here we go.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay. Ooh, I'm getting scared. Kevin, here you go. How do you restart? How do you restart How do you restart a meeting if you did them and then stopped a time ago? I'm not sure it sounds like. How do you start doing them if you did them and don't do them anymore, Kevin?
I've had this come up with several clients. One example I gave you a little earlier, and I got to tell you, Bob, it starts with you just as a leader, you got to fall on the sword, and you got to say, "I'm sorry, fellas. I'm sorry that I've let these meetings slide." I think it's important that you apologize, frankly, because you have dropped the ball if you've stopped having meetings. So I think that's pretty simple, and then you get back into it. You set the schedule, and again, you don't deviate from that schedule. If it's every Wednesday and 3 people can't make it, and you're going to have 2 people there, you still have your meeting on Wednesday at 2:00. You don't mess with the schedule. So I think you got to fall on the sword, Bob. You got to apologize and let them know that you messed up by quit having them, and we're going to get back on track.
There you go. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Here's another one. How do I deal with employees that come to my meetings and never say anything? Oh, that's the one that I had, hopefully I answered that earlier. All that you need to do is get them offline. And if they don't say anything, just sit down with them. Let them know that you really do care about them and their opinion matters. Let them know that you would love to hear from them publicly in front of all of the other guys and gals because their opinion matters. So the behavior you reward is the behavior you get is the behavior that you reward. This is what you need to do. We do have meetings with techs, Kevin, but we find it impossible to get everyone, techs, advisors, helpers, into a meeting. It seems impossible to stop the company, i.e. phone calls and drop-in operations. How do you have a meeting with everyone?
That's a great question, and Bob, I tell you, there's no, as you said earlier, there's no great answer. It's whatever works for you. For us, we had to come in early. We had to come in 15, 20 minutes early. That was the only way we could do it. We couldn't take the middle of the day. The lunch meetings didn't work because the phone's ringing, and even though you got the phone shut down as far as no one's answering them, it's still a distraction. It's still a distraction. So we found that we had to come in. The only way I found to do it in my world was we had to come in about 15, 20 minutes early in the morning and do it. I had no luck, personally, doing them during the day. After work is a possibility. The problem with that is a lot of times these guys want to go home too. They've had a busy day. They're working their hind ends off, and we're asking to stay another 30 minutes after work. I found that was a little tough on them too. So the only time I found to do that, get everyone together, was first thing in the morning. And Bob, I have had clients that have had to separate. They've had to do the technicians and the advisors separately occasionally because they just couldn't come together. But as I said earlier, I think the most important thing is that you have a dedicated day and time and you don't vary from that. What will happen is you'll find people that if they miss the meeting, they'll be asking their partner, "Hey, what was discussed today in our update? What was discussed today in our meeting?" And that's kind of what you want. You want everyone to where it's so interesting that they don't want to miss it. So there's no correct answer, as Bob said earlier, but what I do feel like the work for us, the only way to get away with that was we had to come in early and have our meetings before work started.
There you go, guys and gals. And one of the things you can do is host breakfast for those meetings. Get McDonald's breakfast or whatever for everybody, just make it enjoyable for them in every way. One of the things on that subject that we hear on a regular basis too is, well, I got a couple of guys, they just don't come to the meetings, or they just don't fit. Well, don't worry about those people. Don't let those people dictate your decisions, what you do or don't do. Those people aren't going to be with your company. Sit down, have a conversation with them. If they're not willing and able to behave differently, then they don't need to be with your organization. What about this is another one, what about having some tech strictly hourly versus tech on a compensation plan based on billed hours? How do you discuss those type of goals in front of hourly employees? That's a great question. You don't, is the answer. You don't discuss individual productivity or performance goals in front of the group. You don't do that. We discuss the larger goals, the end result goals, the total billable hour goals, the total sales goals, the total customer care scores, the total number of reviews. These are the things that we discuss. We don't discuss the individual ones.
Bob, excuse me a second. Would you expand on that a little bit and tell them why we don't talk about individual goals in front of everyone? Would you tell them why we don't do that?
Sure, because, well, this is something that needs to be a conversation in itself. If somebody is not meeting the mark, if somebody is not doing what they need to be doing, as an example of productivity goals, it should not come to the point where that's discussed in the employee meeting. You as the manager, the owner of your company, you should be all over that. You should know when things aren't happening in the way that they need to happen. And then you need to sit down with that fella or that gal, and you need to have a conversation with them about what's going on, and you need to discover if they can do what needs to be done, and if they want to do what needs to be done. So never do this.
And if I can add to that, another reason that you don't ever want to do that, I've had clients that post their technician numbers on a board. You don't want to do that, because there's always going to be one winner and one loser, and you don't ever want losers, because this guy that's high on the productivity, he may be an R&R guy, so he's going to have more hours. But the A+ tech that's doing the diagnostics, his hours may be lower, but they're equally as important. It goes back to the deck of cards. They're all important together, and I just don't think that we want to have one loser and one winner. So that's why you don't, all this stuff has always got to be private, in my opinion.
Yeah, well said. And to Kevin's point, for years, there have been different kind of management trainers that say you need to post the productivity of all the techs, the billable hours, where they could see one another compete. And I am, like Kevin, I am so against that. You're going to wind up with one winner and everyone else is going to be a loser. And you know what? Right. Maybe the next week somebody else is going to win, but after a while, there's going to be a pattern of losers and a pattern of a winner or two. That is horrible. What people need to do in all cases is they need to compete against themselves, not against their peers. You need to have productivity goals, efficiency goals for each one of your technicians, and those need to be predicated on their experience, the tools that they have, their competency. That's what those need to be predicated on, not just the standard of so many hours per tech. How to keep interest during the meetings, avoid redundancy. Ideas to keep from being routine so they're effective and purposeful. A book read is one of the ways to do that. Having book reads is a great way to get them interested, because every week it's going to be something different. You can rest assured on that. That's going to be different every week. And one of the other questions, Kevin, it says, what do you mean book reports? And that's what I was talking about earlier, whoever asked that question. Right. I was talking about when you sit down. And Kevin, here's another one. Can you give an example of inspirational messages?
Well, I could have if you hadn't asked me.
Something out of Maxwell, maybe? They could pull something out of Maxwell?
Yeah, or Zig Ziglar, or any of these. When I first started doing it, Bob, again, it kind of caught me off guard. When I first started doing inspirational messages, I got online and found a source that has inspirational messages, and I started putting them on the bottom of my emails. And so now I've got a library of them. And so if we're talking about something that has to do with leadership, I'll go to this library and look for one of my inspirational messages that has to do with leadership, and I'll end with that. So to sit and pop it off my head, I'm sorry, I don't have one, but I have a library of them. How's that I use?
Yeah, and there's a number of, to Kevin's point, there's a number of books out there that you could buy that are just rich with inspirational messages. I know Doris at our team meetings here in San Diego, she closes out every one of our meetings with an inspirational message, and she just finds them everywhere. So yes, guys and gals, they are available for sure. Here's a great question. It says, when discussing warranty items due to a tech error for the week, it will inevitably single out one staff member. How to handle that? Yeah, of course, this is going to be the case. But bear in mind, if Larry makes a mistake on a car and the customer comes back because of the failure or whatever, bear in mind, everyone knows that happened. Everyone knows that that warranty claim happened. So this isn't letting something out. The conversation isn't that the mistake was made. The conversation is, what do we learn from that, and what do we do to improve and make sure that this doesn't happen in the future? And you have the opportunity to congratulate Larry on how he learned from that mistake and everything else that he does really well. This gets back to the sandwich method. Well, Larry, I know that, first of all, before we even talk about that problem card that came back last week, let me say this. Larry's been with our company for 4 years. He is very, very gifted, as you guys and gals all know. He's very, very good at what he does. And sometimes things happen. So last week we had a car came back in and fill in the blanks. This is what happened. And then you discuss it. And then you close out with, again, a positive comment about that particular guy.
Bob, before you go on, I want to say one more. I want to say one more thing that I don't want to forget, and that is, my meeting started turning around when I asked my employees to come to. They can come to a meeting, any problem they want, as long as they had a coinciding solution. Don't come to me with just a problem. Don't come to the meeting with a problem. Come to me with a problem and a solution. At least your thought on a solution. I'm telling you, by giving that kind of ownership, you'd be amazed. It gets everyone involved. Because now they're thinking of a solution instead of depending on you to think of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cardinal rule in meetings. Every time they recommend something to do differently with the company in a positive way, it's up to them to come with a solution to any challenges that the company says. Absolutely, Kevin. Last one, Kevin, and I think it's 10 minutes before the hour, so we're going to have to close out. It says, should I postpone a meeting if one of the texts is not there that day?
No. I think the meeting needs to be scheduled. If it's scheduled at Wednesday at 2:00, like I said, if you got a staff of 5 people and 3 people aren't there, you only got 2 people, you still have the meeting. That's the structure you need. You got to have that kind of consistency. I promise you, if you'll do that, the people that miss the meeting will be asking the people that are there, what happened in the meeting today? What happened in the update today? What did I miss? So absolutely, you have it no matter what. That's my opinion, Bob.
Yeah, that's a great recommendation for sure, Kevin, as always. Well, Kevin, first of all, before I say anything else, I would like to thank you so much for joining us today. I know that your time is valuable, and the fact that you were kind enough to give it up and share your thoughts with all of us is very, very much appreciated. And I would like to thank the rest of you very much for all that you're doing for us and for joining us here today. Hopefully this content met with your expectation. Keep your eyes open for the next email that you're going to get from us. And if there's any way that we can help you, if you're looking for solutions, anything in your business, doesn't matter what it is, we're here to help. All that you need to do is give us a call, 800-204-3548. Send an email at contact@eliteworldwide.com. Thanks again, Kevin, for joining us, and thanks to the rest of you for joining us as well. Thank you, guys and gals.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
You bet. Thanks, Mr. Cooper.
Mm-hmm.